Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Originally I was going to make a video to talk about accessories, and I know there's a lot of videos out there, so I was going to try to focus on a few different things that haven't really been covered, but in the end what we're going to talk about is autopilot, full self-driving, and what my opinions are. You're going to see some video clips, some of my experiences just happened a couple hours ago right here in Prince George, and you can decide for yourself. So just to preface, you can see here on the screen there's a snowfall warning expected tonight, so that's kind of good because I'm going to do some testing out in the snow tonight / tomorrow. Some things I wanted to capture some video on, so we'll see what that goes like. So you can subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications if you want to follow any of this. Yeah, I know I'm pretty much an amateur, but that's fine. Hopefully the content may be helpful for you. So again, coming back to this video, talking about full self-driving, which I do not own, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I didn't purchase it. And today was sort of a culmination of things. I was testing out Autopilot, and I was recording just with my Pixel 2 phone with a cheap little setup I got on Amazon. A little harness that I kind of suction cupped onto the top of the window, or the roof glass. And the roads here are pretty bumpy because there's a lot of ice and snow. So some of the videos not that great quality, but if you keep watching, you'll see some interesting things. And it's some things that I encountered when I drove home from Vancouver, which I wasn't sure if they were anomalies or what, but you're going to see here the roads were pretty clear. I mean, there's some sand and dirt, but you can see the lines, and just take a look at what Autopilot does. So the first part, you're going to see a couple minutes where I'm just driving around my neighborhood, and you're going to see the snowbanks, how much snow we have here, give you that kind of perspective. And then I'm going to put on the longer clip after that. And the longer clip, I go on Highway 97 driving north, kind of towards where you would go if you're going to drive to Alaska. And the highway's pretty clear. I mean, it's not usually this clear in the winter here, but it's really clear right now. And you can see when I put Autopilot on, it's like a drunk driver. It's just, I was just surprised at how poorly it was operating. So anyways, without further ado, we will put on those few video clips. As you can see, we do have a fair amount of snow here in Prince George. And sorry if this camera's shaky, it's the nature of these roads. I'm just using my cell phone for now because that's really all I can afford to use at this point in time. Alright, so at some point in this video, I'm going to go over a list of what I consider the top 10, or maybe not top 10, I guess the top things, the good and the bad, of owning a Tesla 3. Today marks 7 days from when I first picked up my Tesla Model 3, drove it home from Vancouver, made some videos about my charging along the way, and now it's only been a week, but I've driven it basically every day and in various conditions, and I'm going to share a few things. Alright guys, so as you can see here on the dash, I for the first time since taking my Model 3 home, I went ahead and charged up to 100%. It's down to 500 kilometers right now, but my maximum, I got up to about 509 kilometers. and I think it's advertised at 518, so kind of take that with a grain of salt. But basically, when they say 518, you know, somewhere around 500 kilometers is sort of what you could possibly hope to get on a full charge. Doesn't mean you're going to get 500 kilometers driving range, but yeah. So these are just sort of some side streets in Prince George. I'm up in the heart area, and there's a fair amount of snow up here. Usually we have a lot more than this, but it's been, I would call it a very gentle winter for us this year. Last year we had a lot more snow. So yeah, just to cover a few things. So full self-driving, and let's talk about autopilot. Let's talk about some bad things to start off with. I consider them bad, or maybe not. Things that I thought, not to the quality I thought they would be. So you'd see these roads, what they look like. You're not going to see any lines here. When it's dark outside, you can barely tell where the lanes are. And when it's snowing and blowing out, I mean, you know, it's not a pretty situation. Well, I've noticed with the full self-driving, or not, I don't have full self-driving, with the autopilot, that is to say, it's really finicky. Half the time when I try to turn it on in conditions like this, let's see if I can, I'll give it a try right here. So we're driving along, and I will go, okay, so it's temporarily unavailable. You know, I'm not sure why it's temporarily unavailable. Try it again, right? Get this a lot up here. And so to me, you know, when people talk about one of the great features of Teslas are the autopilot, and we're going to have autonomy and full self-driving and all this kind of thing. To me, honestly, that's like a pie in the sky, California, perfect weather conditions scenario. I don't know how this is going to work in like most of Canada, let's put it that way. I know I've seen, you know, shout out to like Dax and Tesla Canuck, those guys. I actually used to drive into Toronto every day years ago. I know what it's like over there. That's where I grew up. Those guys, they use the autopilot, works great. And I remember those days when I was commuting to work. But you know, driving around these streets, even on the highways up here, you get a little bit of snow on the highways, and it's kind of hit and miss whether this autopilot's going to work. I'm going to kind of head sort of north of town. This is a major highway here in BC, Highway 97 North. And if I were to take this, basically if you wanted to get to Alaska, this is the highway you'd be taking. So I'll just get up to the speed limit here, and let's just engage. You know, it's not, autopilot's not engaging even. Like, I'm not sure what the problem is here. Okay, there we go. So like, why did it just slow down there? That truck over there was nowhere in my lane when I engaged this. It just turned off. Why did it turn off? Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Okay, it's on. I got my hand on the steering wheel. And let's see if it does this merge properly. Is it gonna merge? Yeah. Okay, it merged, but it's pretty choppy. I mean, look at this. I have the latest update. I have the 2020.40.1. And like, look what it's doing. This is like, as a human being, I'm gonna drive a lot better than this. Like, we're auto steer, speed restrict. Okay, whatever. Anyway, it's like I'm a drunk person driving on this road. Now, these conditions are not too bad, but look at this thing. It's bouncing left and right, and other people spoke that earlier versions of the firmware did this, but I've got the latest version of the firmware, and I'm like a drunk driver or something. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see what happens with the speed limit here. It's changing to 90 in a few seconds. We're going 80. Now, I don't have lots of experience with autopilot. Okay, looks like it's bumping up. Should be going 90 though, right? Not sure what the deal is here. I guess I have to control the speed. Fair enough. All right, so we're on the highway here. I'll jack it up to 99. And look at this thing. It's like swerving left and right. I mean, what is the deal here? Like, look at this thing, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. You just saw it right there, guys. That's one of the things that, it's one of the reasons why I didn't go ahead and purchase the 9,200 Canadian dollars for the full self-driving. Was I said, self, you know, if you really want this, let's just see how the autopilot works first. Well, guys, you just saw right there, the autopilot sucks, at least in my scenario here. And I mean, we've got lines here. I mean, look at this road. Even it's picking it up here on the screen fairly good, I think, but it's bouncing all over the road. I don't know what's going on. And I've got a 2020 model here, guys. So I've got the latest hardware. I've got the latest software. There's no excuses here. And, you know, recently I saw Elon Musk talk about 2 months away maybe from full self-driving. Maybe that's the truth, but, you know, with the experience I have, you know, I'm a software engineer. Right now I'm a software architect of 25 plus years. I've been designing software for a long time, and all I can say about that kind of stuff is sometimes it's wishful thinking. You know, guys, we're supposed to be like on Mars and on the moon and all this kind of stuff way back, right? All the movies and all the people at NASA saying all this stuff. We're not nowhere near any of that. And to me, I kind of feel the same way about driving, because driving is a complicated thing. I get it. Some people are terrible at driving. And probably this autonomy stuff will help with that. But I mean, what I just showed you guys earlier there, come on. Autopilot is driving like a drunk driver. Not very good at all. Alright, so I'm just going to turn around here and we'll just keep talking. Alright, let's go down some side roads here where it's a little bit more slippery, a little bit more icy. So that was one of the negative things, you know. I just mentioned why I didn't get autopilot, or why I didn't get full self-driving. And in my reliance on autopilot, might be good for like a long drive where the lines are pristine, and maybe I'll do another video when the weather's warmer. I've got the 19-inch rims with the kind of sporty tires for the summertime. I'll give that a try later when the weather gets better. But right now, just get on to some of the good things. So what are some of the good things? That was a negative thing. Let's talk about winter driving. So let me say this right off the bat. This is the best car I've ever driven in the wintertime. I can't tell you outside of that because I haven't driven in other conditions. I've only had this car for a week, but I can tell you hands down, this car is very safe. I tried to make this car spin out and lose traction and stuff like that, like purposefully accelerating as I'm turning corners and stuff. And while the back tires do kind of slide and kick out a bit, I have to say, you know, the all-wheel drive does a fantastic job keeping you on the road. Even on like pure ice situations where, you know, nothing's going to stop you from sliding and crashing when you're on a road that's pure ice. And in fact, there's been a few times I've come to stop signs where, you know how it is. Everybody goes to stop and it's basically a sheet of ice. And I have slid in this car. I do have the winter tires and the winter rims from Tesla on here. So I've got kind of the best case scenario of what Tesla provides for winter driving. I know you could probably buy better from another tire manufacturer, but I got what Tesla has to offer. And yeah, it still slides on ice if you're going too fast. But the handling of this thing, I mean, what a great car. You go to accelerate and it just seems to like auto-correct you. So like, I'll kind of go a little bit faster here, kind of gun it. You can see just a little bit back and forth fishtailing, but then you can kind of feel the front tires or something kind of kicking in and smoothing out your ride. So a real fun car to ride, really safe in the winter. Like all the computer notifications. When someone's coming close to you, it'll beep, and when someone's going to crash into you, you hear those notifications. You see the little cars come close by, it warns you. Backup camera is fantastic. What else to say? I guess another thing is driving in the cold weather. That's a double-edged sword there, because this morning it says -5 out there right now, but this morning it was about -15 Celsius, and I've heard from people you lose range, and while that's the case, I feel that with this long range all-wheel drive, that doesn't bother me, because two things here. I think most people, either you're like just driving around town like I'm doing right now, or back roads, or if you're commuting, say, well, you can see that computer kicked in. Basically, I'm in some ruts here that are pure ice, and the computer's kind of helping straighten me out. Anyway, I feel when you're commuting, this car does a great job with the range. But again, if you have 500 kilometer range, nobody commutes that far, right? Not in a day. So even if you lose, let's say worst case scenario, 50% of the range, I feel like this is going to be your best daily driver. Whether you're commuting, whether you're driving around town, it won't matter. You get enough range even if you lose range from the cold. So what else to say? Well, another thing I love about this car is I guess an obvious thing is just being able to plug it in when I get home, and that's it. I get a full charge when I'm ready to go. I mean, I just never visit the gas stations anymore. My two gasoline vehicles, I've got an F-150 and a Honda Accord. Well, I had to fire up my F-150 yesterday because it's been sitting for a week since I got this car. It's just been sitting there. And I don't want the battery to die in the cold. So fired it up, put some air in the tires because it's cold out here and you tend to lose some air pressure. And by the way, I noticed I lost some air pressure even in one of these Tesla tires. And that was cool because, the little TPS monitor came up, and I mean, yeah, a lot of cars do that. But what I really liked was it told me what the PSI was. So, I looked at it and I'm like, well, do I have a flat? Did I run over something? Or what is the situation? I looked and it was like 38 PSI. Normally it's 42, it's down to 38. All right, so no issue there. So I just topped up the air pressure and good to go. So I just like Tesla's ability to communicate a lot of what's going on with the car. I really like that. So this is interesting. I've been driving now for about 10 minutes, and I started off with 500 kilometers, and we're down to 479. I mean, I definitely didn't drive 22 kilometers here, guys. So, take this when it says this many kilometers, take that with a grain of salt. Depends how you're driving, and who knows what exactly the algorithm is. But if you're going for a drive, commuting somewhere, I don't know. I find if you give yourself like a buffer of like 15% buffer kind of thing, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll get to where you need to go. You got a charging station within 15% buffer. You'll be fine. That's what I found when I drove from Vancouver. Even there's some unexpected things on the trip there, but still all worked out fine. And yeah, we're good. Another shout out to the other Canadian Tesla bloggers, of course. What is that? People on the road. That's cool. It's a new one. That's the first time I saw that. Interesting. Yeah, there's a school around here. Got my Tim Hortons. All right, so what else to talk about? What are some other good things? So some other good things about this car. It handles really well. I mean, this steering wheel here, it's very nimble. I don't have to, you know, crank the wheel very hard. And, you know, a lot of the other people I've had drive this car, everyone that I allowed to drive this car, they all agree that it's like, it's otherworldly. It's like another experience. It's not like any other vehicle you've ever driven. Yeah, it's still just driving a vehicle, but it just, so many things are so different about it. It's an experience. It's not just driving, it's an experience. You know, yeah, the fast acceleration is there, the handling is there, the computer feedback telling you a bunch of things that are going on. The sound in the cabin here, all you hear are wind noises. I mean, when you stop at a stoplight, it's like silence. I find it a very peaceful ride in this car. I find when I'm driving in my Tesla, it's much less stressful. And I'm not exaggerating, guys. I've seen other videos that say things like this, and I think to myself, yeah, whatever, buddy. But it's true. It's a much more peaceful driving experience. All right, so what else should we talk about here? So what are some other bad things? So one of the bad things, I've done some research. Bad, take it subjectively. I wouldn't say there's really that many bad things that I've experienced that thus far. Just negative things. One of them, whoa, this guy's taking half of our lane here. Anyways, one of the interesting things would be, you know, there's a lot of videos out there that talk about Tesla accessories for the Model 3. So a good thing is there are a lot of accessories, and most of them are not very expensive. If you shop around, you know, a lot of the people make the same kinds of like center console wraps, or, you know, one of the important ones that I would say, and this is a good and bad, it's good that it's not expensive, but the door gaskets, right? For the doors, there's gaskets that you can buy a gasket kit. Why do I have to buy a gasket kit for a new car? You know, that's kind of annoying to me. And so I would say getting a gasket kit for the doors is essential. Maybe I'm going to go pick up my daughters at school here, but what I would say is, I noticed when I was driving and it was really wet outside earlier this week and my car is getting covered in mud, when you open the doors, any one of the four doors, you notice a lot of mud and water and dirt and all that grime getting right inside the door. And I'll show you when we stop where, but basically I noticed when I installed that gasket kit I got off of Amazon that it really did a good job sealing the doors from letting like water and snow and dirt from getting inside. And I do really feel that without those extra gaskets, I think that probably it'd be a lot more scratching of the paint or rusting or something, a lot more corrosion on the body, on the inside of the door, or the body of the car where, you know, where the door seals up on. After putting those seals on, I opened the doors and checked it out, and those gaskets do a great job of keeping all that out. To me, that should be done from the factory. I'm like, come on, Tesla, that's a given. I'm paying, you know, for me, in my case, like $76,000 for a car. Come on, gaskets. So that's one thing. All right, so what's another thing to consider? And that would be the tires. So I can't speak more to this other than what I've seen in videos online, but I want to call it out to prepare you if you're watching this video and you're thinking about getting a Tesla, just to let you know this is a common item. It seems like a lot of people have reported that the tires wear a lot faster. And there's a lot of theories around it, but a lot of people have reported this. And it's like, you know, I have the winter tires. I have 2 sets of tires. I will report back on this as time goes on. But I guess it's, you know, it's a much heavier car. Plus, add to that it's, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to accelerate quickly. Like if I just want to go like that, right? that's gotta wear those tires faster than a normal gasoline vehicle. And of course, Tesla owners do that a lot. I mean, for me, if I'm driving along here and I got a logging truck in front of me, and he's spraying up grime all over me, I'm just going to get into the other lane and get past him real quick. Well, in my Tesla, that's like 2 seconds. Done. I'm past him. I'm not going to get rock chips. I'm not going to get grime in my car. He's going to be in my rear view mirror. And so, just saying, driving style, when you have a Tesla, you kind of tend to get those more quick bursts. Probably is going to wear those tires out a lot faster.